Good afternoon, and welcome to A Life Unedited. Today's guest spends her days helping older adults navigate one of life's most complicated chapters, aging, which is incredible considering she is 34 years old, younger than many of the people she serves by half a century. She is a licensed nursing home administrator, a mother, a leader, and someone whose life has been shaped by family, service, and a grandfather who taught her that limitations don't define a person, character does. We'll talk about purpose, caregiving, resilience, and what happens when the life you planned isn't the life you get, but somehow becomes the life you needed. I'm Marc Hunt, and this is A Life Unedited. In this podcast, I sit down with remarkable people to hear about their lives and perspectives without the filters of hindsight. Today, I am very honored to have Rebecca Griffith. She is a mother, executive director, CEO of Jefferson Hospital. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. At 34 years old, most people your age build careers in technology, finance, marketing, and entrepreneurship. You chose senior living and service. Why is that?
Yeah. I like to joke that senior living actually chose me because I actually chose marketing. That's what my degrees are in. That's what I've always done in some capacity in various industries until January of 2023 when I stepped into the marketing and development role at Jefferson House. And I didn't really know what was in store for me when I got into senior living, but I guess God knew. And my career has been the most fulfilling and rewarding part of my life outside of being a mom. So yeah, I joke that it chose me, and it's the best blessing to my life.
Well, you're very good at it.
Thank you.
What has surprised you the most to learn about people in their 80s and 90s? 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah, I think the thing that surprised me the most, and it's really not a surprise, it's just human nature, is even in your 90s, you still have dreams and aspirations and goals that you want to achieve. We have residents who have put their artwork in museums in their 90s. Yeah. We have residents who are writing children's books in their 80s. Your goals and aspirations don't just stop with age. And I think it's really important to remember that. They're people, they have desires and goals, and they need life fulfillment just like someone in their 30s does. And we try to meet them with what their goals and aspirations are the best way that we can. Yeah.
Do you think our culture does a good job talking about aging?
No, not at all.
Agreed.
And I think it's kind of sad because when you think about your chapters of life, you really plan for everything. You are in high school and there's a lot of talk about where do you want to go to college and what university is important to you and what programs do you like and what are you interested in. And then even in college, it's a lot of talk about what's your career choice and what do you want to do with your life and what are your plans. You get married, you have conversations around how many kids do you want? What are our plans as a couple? But then you get to a chapter in your life when your career's over, you've retired, and you never have a conversation about what's next. Like, the next chapter in your life should be talking about how do I want to end my life? What chapter do I want to be in at the end stage of life for me? And I think as a culture, we can do better as family members with making that conversation a little bit more of a priority and not more of a reactive thing.
Do you think it's because people don't like to talk about mortality?
I think so. I think it's uncomfortable.
Definitely.
You don't want to talk about the decline you're seeing in your parents or your loved one.
Yeah.
But you should.
Yeah. And
you should reframe it from, hey, I see a decline, or I'm noticing these things in the house slipping, and we want to figure out what's the next step for you, instead of just saying, hey, what do you want in this next chapter of your life?
Right.
What is important to you? What wishes do you have? How can we help make sure that those happen for you?
What would make you feel comfortable and happy?
Yeah, and just rephrasing that conversation. It doesn't have to be an uncomfortable conversation.
Right. Well, to follow that up, many people imagine senior living as simply activities, meals, and social events. What's the reality behind the scenes?
Yeah. All of those things are important. Activities
Yes.
are important. Your meals, that's a huge part of quality of life. And same with the social aspect. However, there's so much more that happens. As you know, I mean, there's safety planning, emergency preparedness, infection control and cleanliness. There's budget planning. We are a nonprofit organization. We have a board of directors. So I think it's important to realize there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes outside of, hey, we're doing bingo at 3. We have to run fire drills. It's a heavily regulated industry. We have staffing that we have to maintain. We have clinical coordination, emotional support. We have to track all of our residents and making sure that we are meeting their needs in a personal way, in a personalized way. Not every resident's the same. All of their needs are very different, and we have about 60 individuals we're responsible for making sure that those behind-the-scenes things, that they happen because they matter just as much as the lunch being served in front of them.
No, absolutely. A lot of moving parts, for sure.
Yes.
You've seen families dealing with guilt and grief and uncertainty and fear. Was there ever a moment with a resident or family that fundamentally changed the way you see your work?
Yes, many moments. And I'm sure many more to come. I think of a family that I helped when I was in my marketing role. This one just comes top of mind. And their mom was sent to the hospital, and they could not go back to the community that she lived in. They could no longer provide the level of care that was needed. And I got an emergency call on a Friday, it's always on a Friday, that the hospital is discharging their mom and they have nowhere to go. They needed help. We thankfully had an opening, and our team made magic happen. I still don't know how we made magic happen, but we did. And I will never forget just the sense of relief of that son finally sitting in the chair in his mom's room. She's settled. She had her dinner. We figured out her medications. Everything was in place. And he just looked at me and he said, "I hope you know how much of an impact you make."
Oh, wow.
And I'll never forget that. And I think the biggest part to me is just the trust that families place in Martha Jefferson House, in our team, every single day.
Yeah.
And it's nothing that our whole team doesn't take lightly. We
Right.
take it very seriously.
Yeah. You care deeply about people, but there are laws, regulations, budgets, staffing challenges, always staffing challenges, and realities that exist. How do you balance compassion with regulations in healthcare?
Transparency. I think that's the best thing you can do. Any decision that is made from a place with reasons behind it. Sometimes we can't share what those are if it violates someone's privacy. But for the most part, I just like to hear families, if there's a concern, bring it to me, let's talk about it. And I'm going to be as transparent as possible and educate you behind maybe the laws behind why we can't do something, or the regulations behind why we can't do something. And I think that's all that families really want at the end of the day. They want to be heard. They want to understand the why behind why you're doing something. And I think it's important to meet them with that, with a very transparent approach. Yeah, communication is very
huge.
much so important.
What do you think the biggest misconception people have about nursing homes, assisted living, and senior care?
Yeah, I kind of heard this joke. Once you've seen one, you've seen them all. I don't think that's true because you haven't come to the Martha Jefferson House, but maybe I'm a little biased. But no, I don't think they're all the same. I think they are all very different. It's very complex how different they all are. And I think it's sometimes overwhelming once you realize as a family member when you're going through that process with your loved one that they are all very different.
Very different.
And for different reasons. But yeah, they're not all the same.
I know. I think everybody's kind of got this, image of when we were kids, like nursing homes. They're very standard. It's where you go to die.
Yeah.
It's very not. It's
Yep.
very much not that way.
It's not.
What keeps administrators awake at night?
Yeah. I wish I could say it's like one big dramatic thing that keeps me awake every night, but it's usually something that I'm actively dealing with in that week. And it's probably very small. But it does keep me awake at night some nights. And it changes. I mean, things shift, and we deal with new situations every week, every day almost. So it's hard to answer that as one big dramatic event.
That's true. I mean, it's a moving target.
It's a moving target.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately it comes back to safety. I always want the safety of our residents to be there, and are we doing everything we possibly can to make sure that happens?
Yeah.
But I have a wonderful team that makes it very easy to lean on and to collaborate with to make sure that we are doing everything we possibly can.
We've done a great job of building a good team.
I sure have,
You really
yourself
have.
included.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. If you could change one thing, though, about elder care in America tomorrow, what would it be?
Yeah, that it's accessible to everyone. I really think that with good quality care, it takes money, and that's sometimes very unfortunate in this industry. And I wish that it were just more accessible to those who need it.
Those are always hard conversations to have.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Because those are usually the people that need it the most.
They sure do. And then with those communities that can take those who are maybe financially tied, it's so limited. There's not enough spots.
Right.
And then I do
Not enough
feel
staffing.
the middle market is really missed. There are a lot of places for those with low income. There's a lot of places for those with high income, but what about the middle market?
Right.
I think that's a real gap in the industry.
Right. That's a good point. So I have a theory that your career started long before your first job in senior living. Your grandfather lived with your family for most of your life. Tell me about your grandfather.
Yeah. He was an amazing man. He moved in with my family when I was 7. And to give you a little background on my grandpa, he became deaf at the age of 8. And there was really no reasoning behind it. He was actually sitting in his classroom, and I guess a student behind him had asked him a question, and he didn't respond. And then the teacher started asking him a question, and he didn't respond, and he ended up getting tapped on the shoulder by another student, and when he looked at him, he realized he could not hear what he was saying.
Oh my God, how terrifying.
Yeah, and he was 8.
Yeah.
So obviously he went to the doctor, and this is in, I guess the 1930s.
Wow.
And he was deaf. He became deaf, and it was almost that quickly. So to think about how your life would change if all of a sudden at 8 years old you could not hear anymore.
Sitting at school one day and this.
Yeah, and the way you communicate changes.
Yeah.
Everything.
Did he know sign language?
No, because he didn't come from a deaf family.
I mean, eventually.
Eventually,
did he learn?
yeah. So eventually he ended up transferring to the Virginia School for the Deaf and Blind in Stanton. And that's where he graduated. He learned ASL, American Sign Language, and lived a very fulfilling life. He worked very hard to make sure that his limitation, I don't even want to call it a limitation, because to him he was normal. It was a barrier, obviously, with communication. He kept a little notebook in his pocket at all times so he could communicate with anyone at any time. I'll never forget that. But he worked really hard. He ended up retiring from the government printing office in Northern Virginia. He met my grandma. They had one son, my dad, who was born not deaf. And so they then had to navigate how to teach him how to speak when he had deaf parents.
Yeah.
And the answer to that was, let's put him in front of a TV. But yeah, and I think it really shaped my dad's life as well, because he became a police officer. But he was the main interpreter with
Yeah.
Fairfax County Police, as he interpreted those who were deaf and
Wow.
needed sign language.
Wow. What a unique upbringing for your father. That's incredible.
But he was an incredible man. My grandpa was, and he moved in when I was 7, so living with him was basically the childhood I remember.
Yeah.
And he was so good about toting us around to our activities while my parents were at work, and he was a huge part of our life.
Did you pick up any sign language?
I wish I could say that I knew it better than I do, but no.
Push comes to shove, you could probably...
Push comes to shove, I could probably figure out how to communicate with someone, but also there's old ASL and new ASL, and his was very much so on the old ASL. And so a lot of it was spelling things out in sign language, and nowadays there's like one sign for a word you used to spell. So it's come a long way. My dad is much better at it because he grew up in that environment, but my grandpa also was big on, he didn't sign around us. That he spoke, and he was proud of that. Wow. And he had and he read lips very well. Wow. He wouldn't even put subtitles on the TV. He did not let that define who he was. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
How did watching your parents care for him shape your view of aging?
Yeah, I think it, I don't think I really realized the impact of what was happening when they started to really need to care for him, because I was living in Roanoke at the time and not as close to home. I was 25 when he passed away at the age of 93.
Wow.
And he lived a beautiful life with my mom and dad, and they cared for him. And I think they did a really good job of asking him what his wishes were. They really made sure that if he wants to age at home with them, that he would, and he did. And my dad, thankfully, was retired when he really needed a lot of the care, and he was able to be that person for him. He did end up going on hospice at home and died peacefully around his whole family, which was really nice because we were all kids that had to come back home for that event. But
it's exactly what he would have wanted.
It's exactly what he wanted. And I think that goes back to my point, is have those conversations. What are your loved ones' wishes when it's that last chapter of their life?
Yeah, absolutely. What would your grandfather think of you now?
I think he'd be surprised in the direction my life took. Because the 25-year-old he knew was going to be a journalist and be the next Katie Couric, and I am not that. But I think he'd be really proud. Not yet, But he'd be very proud. Yeah.
Definitely. He'd definitely be proud. Your parents met because your father was shot in the line of duty and your mother was his nurse. That's one of the best origin stories I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Movie script, right?
It is a movie script, and it's one of the coolest things that I have to share about my life. We actually have a newspaper clipping from the Washington Post framed in my mom and dad's home, and it talks about the silver lining to the bullet, or whatever it might have been. I don't know the title. But in 1982, my dad was actually undercover. He was called to, I think, a gas station of some sort for a burglary, and the store owner thought my dad was the burglar when he was actually an undercover police officer, and he shot him. And it was kind of in and out. It wasn't in any spot that was life-threatening, thankfully. But he was then transferred to Fairfax Hospital, where my mom, who was a very new nurse, was his nurse. And yeah, I guess the rest is kind of history. He was discharged, went home, and he called back to the hospital and asked her out on a date. And she, put the phone down and asked all of her nurse friends, can I do that? Can I go on a date? He was a patient of mine. And they were all like, is he your patient now? And she was like, no. And they were like, go on the date. And thankfully she did.
Good for your dad. He's got some game, right?
Yeah. So, I think they were engaged pretty quickly, within 8 months or so.
Nice.
And then married, and I'm the youngest of 3. So I have an older brother and an older sister. Yeah. And that's the story.
They're still going strong.
Still going strong. Yeah. I think they just celebrated 43 years of marriage.
Good for them.
Yep. Yeah.
That's amazing. What do you think that growing up in a household with your father as a police officer, your mom as a nurse, both in the service industry, did that kind of instill just,
Absolutely.
The mentality of helping others?
Yeah, I think it was just all we knew, was you help the people who need help, and they made careers out of it.
Yeah.
My sister's a nurse. My brother's a nurse.
Your brother's a nurse, yeah.
I never wanted to be a nurse. I respected that industry. I just don't really love
The clinical end.
blood and the clinical aspect of things. But I've always been super intrigued by business, like processes of business, budgets of business. I have a corporate and professional communication master's degree, and I just loved it. I've always really been into school. But I knew that I wanted what I was doing within any type of business environment to be mission-driven, to be fulfilling, to be rewarding. Again, I would have never thought senior living. But I think a lot of people I talk to, they feel the same way. They got into senior living almost on accident.
Yeah.
And then it's the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
And they don't imagine them doing anything else.
So all of a sudden you have all these grandpas and grandpas.
Yeah. It's like built-in
Right.
grandparents for the rest of your life.
Wonderful.
And it's wonderful.
Yeah. You described education as a transformative experience. How did it transform you?
In so many ways. I went to Radford University. I thought I was going to be a journalist. I did a journalism undergrad degree with a minor in fashion. I've always really loved clothes. And I thought I'd be like working for some magazine. I was always chasing a story. I loved that. I interned at NBC 29 when I was in college. Loved that experience. But I just felt like it was tough work. I mean, that's hard work, and the hours weren't the best. And I think I really learned that in my internship. When you're sitting by a radio waiting for a car accident to happen, and that sounds so terrible, but you're waiting for your next story.
Right.
And it could be 12, 1 in the morning, and that's your life.
Yeah.
And it just taught me that, like, I love to write, but do I want to make a career out of that? And I wasn't really sure the answer to that after my internship experience. And then I went to my academic advisor, and he was like, so you're a junior? And I was like, no, I'm a sophomore. And he was like, no, you're credit-wise a junior. And I didn't really understand the dual enrollment classes that I took in high school gave me college credit.
Oh, wow.
So, like, I guess in his mind I was a junior. But in my mind I was like, that means I'm graduating 1 year early, and I don't want to do that. So my communication professor told me about an accelerated master's program where I could essentially complete my final year of undergrad at the same time of completing my first year of my graduate program. And I thought, that's insane. Like, who can do that? But I did it.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm insane. But I loved it. I mean, I went to school during the day for my undergrad, and then I worked midday, and in the evening I had my evening graduate classes. It really wasn't something you couldn't do.
Yeah.
And my parents were a great support in that time frame because I couldn't work as much as I would have wanted to with that schedule. But I graduated 1 year later.
So you were still working?
Yeah.
Even a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I was a server at Red Robin. That was my first job ever. It was a fun job. You smell like fries all the time, but it was a fun job. And yeah, but I basically graduated 1 year later than all of my friends, but with a graduate degree.
Wow.
So it was worth it.
Yeah, I would say that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. I think you were right when you said you enjoy
I enjoy school.
In 2022, you had some life changes that were unexpected. You once said, sometimes the rockiest paths create the clearest direction. Looking back, was there purpose hiding inside that uncertainty?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You just don't know it when you're in it.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of have this plan and this picture for where your life's going to go and how it's going to unfold. And then it doesn't always go according to plan.
Right.
And that's okay. Your life can pivot. And in 2022, my daughter was born in January. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But I just felt this calling to go back home. I was living in Roanoke, Virginia. I loved the job that I had. I loved the home that we had built. We'd spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears fixing it up to be the house that we wanted it to be. But life took a turn, and I moved back to Charlottesville, which is where my parents still live. My sister's in Waynesboro, so not far away. And it was the best thing that could have happened. But like I said, it was uncertain. You take a new job, you're not really sure where it's going to go, and it was one of the best things that happened in my life.
Yeah.
And especially having my daughter close to family, that's been everything.
That's been huge for her.
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. Did you start working at Martha Jefferson House right away?
I did,
Nice.
yeah. So my first job back in the area was Martha Jefferson House, January of 2023, as the marketing and development coordinator. And I had no idea what I was walking into. I've always done marketing. That comes easy to me. But I really realized the gravity of the position with helping families navigate senior living and the complexity of choosing the right place to put your loved one. Difficult conversations. I had a lot to learn. Yeah. But I had a really good mentor. You lean on the people in the industry who can teach you. And I feel really grateful for that. I was asked to do an administrator and training program 1 year after starting at Martha Jefferson House. And at first I was like, this is terrifying, but it's exciting. Yeah. And I loved being a student, so I was like, let's do it. What could go wrong? Let's just try it. And now I'm the administrator of Martha Jefferson House. So it proved to be purpose hiding in the uncertainty, for sure.
Certainly. And beneficial for Martha Jefferson House.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's beneficial to me in my life as well.
Yeah. Becoming a parent changes the game completely.
Mm-hmm.
How has it changed you?
In every way. I think any parent can say that it's the best thing in the whole wide world to be loved by your child and to love them in return.
Right.
There's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
I think you also realize how selfish you are before you have kids. You have no one else to report to but yourself.
Right.
You can go to the gym when you want, read the book when you want, and parenting changes all of that. Yeah. Your life is now scheduled around them.
Yeah. Their nap times.
Everything they need.
Yeah.
And there's trials and tribulations, but she's just the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. She makes it easy.
What has your daughter taught you about yourself?
She's made me a more patient and empathetic person. And patience is hard for me. I like things to be done quickly and efficiently. And she's really taught me to slow down and just enjoy life, to be silly, to dance in the kitchen, to just enjoy life. It's kind of the whole point of life anyways, for it to be enjoyed. So, she's taught me to slow down, which has been really helpful.
Has it changed your perspectives on your own parents?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think back to my childhood and I'm like, man, I was a brat, Those middle school years are tough.
I have those cringy moments too.
Yes. I'm like, I did that?
I can't believe I did that.
I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, seriously. But it also helps you, now I appreciate them more than I think I ever have. Yeah. They're my village. They show up for me day in and day out whenever I need. As a parent, that's everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A support network for sure. What's something that nobody warns you about motherhood?
First and foremost, they eat so much fruit. You need to buy
True
fruit
story.
literally every day. But no, I think just how to be a better person. I think the thing for me that I always, she's watching me and at all times, everything that I do, how I respond to any situation. She's learning from me. And there's a weight to that,
It's kind of intimidating.
It's intimidating, and they hold you accountable, and she holds me accountable. Yeah. And it just makes me want to be a better person, and I thank her for that.
Yeah. Daughters are the best.
They are. They really are.
You're leading a community at an age when many people are still figuring out what they want to do. Do you ever feel the weight of that responsibility?
Every single day.
I'm sure.
But at the end of the day, I think about how much I care and how much passion I have for the community that we have there and how special it is.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful, to be able to be in the position to work with the board, to be forward thinking, to do what's best for Martha Jefferson House. There's so much history to that organization. It's been around for over 60 years, and I want to maintain and preserve that history. It's so important to honor where we've come from, but also have foresight into what's to come.
Right.
And yeah,
Such a special place.
it's so special. And
It's so nice to be able to tell people with integrity that you're not going
Yes.
to find a better place.
Yeah, it's you can feel it when you walk in.
Yeah.
It's just a different sense of community than I've ever experienced before. But it is a weight of responsibility. We have over 60 residents that are in our care, and that's a big deal.
And at the end of the day, it falls back on your license.
Yep,
Yeah,
my
so-
license, and it really matters the team you put in place
Absolutely.
to help you build what you want to build. And I couldn't do it without the leadership team, the staff. They go above and beyond, and it is not a one-person job. It's a whole team,
Right.
and we have a fabulous team.
You're really good at allowing that team to do what they're best at
Yeah.
without interfering.
Yeah, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and we come together with what those are. We fill the gaps when they're needed.
Yeah.
But I also trust you all. I don't need to micromanage to make sure things get done,
But you're always there to support.
but
So
always there to support. Yeah.
It's great
And
leadership.
I also really think it's important to never operate in a silo. I don't want to make a decision without talking to either the leader of that department or the staff on the front lines. What barriers are we going to have?
Right.
What barriers are we going to have if we do this? What are your thoughts on this? I talk to residents. They have opinions. They have ideas, and they're often really good.
Yeah.
So just being able to collaborate and be open to everyone's ideas, I think, is so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What have you learned about leadership that surprised you?
I don't know if anything's really surprised me necessarily.
What did you learn in your current role, maybe that has surprised you? Because there's really surprises every day.
There's surprises
unexpected
every
things happen
day.
all the time.
I think, to me, the thing that still surprises me is just I try my best to communicate everything and be very open and transparent about it, but sometimes it's still not enough communication.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's still trying to navigate how much is too much to say,
Right.
and how many updates do they really want around
Right.
this situation. But yeah, I think every day is something new, and honestly, I love that. You don't know what you're walking into
Right.
that day, but it keeps things interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely not monotonous. What is the best advice your grandfather or your father gave to you?
Yeah. I think just work really hard. You don't accept a handout. You have to work really hard for what you want in life. And I've carried that motto into my whole life, Show up every day, put your best foot forward.
I still have to circle back. I'm still impressed that you were getting your master's, your last year of college, your undergrad, and working.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I didn't have a life, but yeah,
it worked out in the end.
and I think it matters too. You really have to like what you're studying, and I
Yeah.
really did enjoy it. And part of any graduate program is you're basically working for that department. So I was basically working for the communication professors. So I got to teach classes, sometimes sub hand out tests. So there were a lot of moving parts to it, but it was actually really interesting. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You've spent years helping people navigate the final chapters of their lives. Has it changed the way you think about your own life or about your parents' lives?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I am a planner, like scary so. Like in my own personal planning, I like a 1-3-5 plan. Like, what do I want to do in 1 year? What do I want to do in 3 years? What do I want to do in 5 years? And I think that's what was so hard when my life changed course so drastically, because I was like, ooh, I have to pivot here.
Yeah.
This wasn't in the plan.
This is not written down.
But I think that's the thing that I take away from this is you should have some form of a plan.
Yeah.
Do you want long-term care insurance? Have you talked to your family about your wishes? Do you have an advanced medical directive? Do you have a POA established? These are really important things that you need to make sure your parents have or your loved one has in place before they can't voice and have autonomy in those choices. You never want to make a choice for somebody else.
Because I feel like more than 80% of the time it's unexpected.
It is. You're usually in crisis mode.
Right.
Something happened, and now
Right.
you have to react to it.
'Cause how many calls do we get where somebody's looking for immediate placement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can't do that.
Usually,
Usually we can.
yeah.
Once in a blue moon we can, but that's rare.
Yeah.
And, I would never want to be in a position where I'm making a choice for my dad without ever having talked to him about what do you want? What are your goals in life? Do you want life-saving measures to be put in place? What's your medical directive? So I think the way I think about my own life is just sometimes plans don't work out, but you should have some type of plan, and you should be thinking about these things.
Yeah.
But also, it's really helped me think about my personal health. I find that I'm trying to eat better or get more exercise because you only get one body.
Yeah.
You have to take care of it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. What do most people that we meet and encounter in our field, our line of work, what do people almost never regret?
Spending time with family.
Right? That's what I was thinking.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Family is everything. And I've never heard anyone say, I wish I worked more.
Right.
Or I wish I did that. It's more so just making sure that your family knows how much you love them.
Yeah.
And
having them around.
And having them around and being there for your family. And I think families go back to that too, You hear these fabulous stories from children that they share about their parents after they've passed, and it's simple memories of my mom used to read me 3 stories before bed every night, and we would make characters in the shadows of the light on the wall, and it's just simple things that matter.
Yeah.
And that's what I think most people would say is just be with your family, spend time with your family. That's what matters.
Beautifully said. What do you hope that Lucy learns from watching the way you've lived?
Yeah. I'm trying to teach her to be a very kind and caring person, but also to stick up for herself and to be tough. So I think for me, it just goes back to the simplest of Bible verses, love your neighbor like you'd love yourself. I think that's what I always try to do in life, and I hope that she learns that from me and carries that into her life and her choices. But yeah.
I'm sure she'll continue to be such a sweetheart.
I hope so.
And that is really one of the hardest things as a parent is how to be be kind to everybody, but
Yep.
don't let them talk to you like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Be nice, be kind, but know when something's not right and when to stick up for
And
yourself.
handle it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This
Thank
is
you for
awesome.
having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My name is Marc Hunt. This is A Life Unedited, where I get to sit down with remarkable people like Rebecca Griffith. Thank you.